Hi guys, welcome to the workshop on the ramp. This week we have a wee i10 Hyundai. I think it's his 2011 model year. And last week this guy brought this car to me, and we put a new clutch cable on it. The clutch cable had snapped. The RAC, I think it was, did a temporary repair and clamped a wee end on it for them. And that got them home, so put a new clutch cable, only available from Hyundai, and only made available from the dealers, so I threw that on for him there, and I told him that the biting point was right at the top of the clutch pedal travel, so he was going to need new clutch. It was about 76,000 miles in this car. So there we can see gear linkages off, the coil packs that sit there, they're removed, and that's just to give me a wee bit of freedom to get at the top bolts, and a few bolts removed at the back of the box, and so the box is still in at the moment. It's still on the mount there, and a few limbs shoved out off the way, and these tail lids are off. So what I was going to do, first of all, I'm not going to show you how to pull a gearbox out of a Hyundai, but there's our hub removed. That's left hand side, that's gearbox side, then passenger side in the UK. So these wee Kias and Hyundais, those shafts do have a bit of a habit of sticking in the hub. So that one there gave me a wee bit of jip. It wasn't too bad, got it eventually, so I thought I would just film this wee bit just in case. This gives us a bit of bother, and it may be worthwhile recording it. So there we go, the nut is still on there, of the disc removed, calipers hanging up on the strut there. We'll have our wee suspension tool on, and we'll have the bolt out of the bottom of the ball joint there. So this is all just to take this shaft out. That's what this is all about. So we'll get set up and we'll do that. Okay. Right, here we are. Okay, I'll wing this nut off first. So, because we're using an impact, it's staked there, but impact is winging that off first. So that's me in short work of that. Yep. So it's pretty well jammed in there, the looks of it. But we'll see. So what I do, first of all, give her a squirt of stuff here, which some of it might go in there, but every little helps. So we're going to get an air hammer on the go here. So I'll just remove, put the appropriate boil in here. So it's going to be a bit loud, so we'll see if this does the job. This might do it, like, but we'll give it a go. Nope, not looking good for this one. Nope, not working, guys, so we're going to have to do something else. So bear with me. Just going to give that an oil rattle there because the compressor kicked on there again, so just in case she was down in power a wee bit. Whoa, starting to move. So yeah, so she moved about a quarter of an inch. So see if we can get a wee drop of panther juice in there. might help get the nut back on again. Right, so that's going to pull it back out again. So what we're going to do, I'm going to try and free it up by pulling it back and forward bit by bit. So these air hammers are invaluable. They're an absolute must in the workshop, honestly. Look at that. Cheers the colour, that's great. That saves me a lot of hassle. So we don't want to go too far, so we can get a couple of threads on here. Right. Free it up nice tight. Just do that again. Get a bit of stuff in there. Bit of lube. And there she is. Free as a bird. Right, so we're going to take this here off now. So I'm going to change our attachment. And the hammer. Okay. And we're going to get this bit of tighten. Shaft out. Right, so that was that wee bit. So I'm going to continue on, get the engine supported, get a jack underneath the gearbox, continue on, pull the box out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of wee tips on how I line the clutch up and stuff like that. So that's all we're going to do with the clutch end of things on this video. So we'll be back whenever that happens. Okay, sure. Okay, back at this Hyundai then. As we can see, we have the engine supported from the top there. Modern cars nowadays with these headlights that go away back on the wing there. These cross beam adapters are engine support beams. They're sort of designed to go onto there, but it would have meant that was sitting in the headlight. So we just put a couple of bits of wood across from the rear panel, took that plastic bit off there, took the wipers off, wiper motor out. It's very easy to do. And we'll have a couple of bits of good heavy bits of scaffolding plank, which I have lying about. So to do this type of work, you need all sorts of bits and pieces lying about the place. So we'll have that supported there, just get you in on that. We'll get supported there by a good heavy catch. That's the it's on the mounting bracket that was on the car there. Now the rear one, however, I had to come up with a bit of ingenuity and introduce that wee bracket there. So hopefully you can see that. Yeah, and a wee, fairly wee small. So it's only held in with a wee 10mm bolt that, but there's a bracket that's actually bolted onto the back of the block. So it's not being lifted by the manifold there. So yeah, it's still on the left mount. So all you're doing is taking the weight from that right hand side. So it's not the total weight of the engine that's on this. And the good bit about doing it this way, a couple of advantages, is you can raise and lower the engine in a very controlled manner and very slight increments on the threads there of that. This is a two-way support beam. That one isn't used at the minute. So we have the gearbox out. It's as far as I'm going to pull it out for now. I could raise the car a wee bit more and pull it out completely, but that's good enough for what I want to do. It's resting on that plate, a couple of bits of wood, chucking it there just to level it off because it's a bit of a dopey shape, as with all gearboxes. So the lowest bit will be the diff and then the bell housing, so a couple of bits of wood in there. The other wee thing I maybe tell you about is, yeah, we disconnected, well, I disconnected the exhaust, and I keep saying we in all these videos, but it's me that does all this. I'm doing this on my own. And we kept the subframe in. So a lot of cars nowadays, you need to take the subframe out because there just isn't the clearance. The only problem with this car is that this, where the gearbox mounts onto the gearbox mount in the car, you have to, now this gearbox is lowered, but for that to clear the chassis leg, you have to lower the engine way down, so the engine's sitting at an angle now. But that's the idea of the support bar at the top, so you can actually raise and lower the engine. To support this from the bottom isn't really feasible, isn't really practical. You'd have to take the exhaust completely off, and it's, believe it or not, it's a one-piece exhaust in this. It goes right to the back, and it has that sump being that sort of funny shape there, so you can't really support it on the sump because the lowest bit of the sump is right over to the left, and you're on that bracket anyway. But anyway, moving on, we'll just have a look at this clutch. Now, a thing to note, this person always had a very, very heavy pedal, and as I said earlier on at the start of the vid, the biting point was right at the top of the clutch. So if we inspect, this is a Valio clutch that came out of it. If we inspect that, we can see it right down to the rivets there. If I flip it over, we can see there's a shiny bit of the rivet, and so that's it right down to the rivets. So there's no friction material left on this. So that is the gearbox side there, that protruding bit. So that fits in like that. A lot of clutch plates would say that on them, gearbox side or Giebling side in German, but there's no markings in this at all. But that protrusion there, that actually won't fit onto the flywheel. It won't go on the wrong way. There's some you can put on the wrong way, but the sort of general rule is that protrusion fits into the pressure plate there. So we'll have a few marks on the pressure plate, as you can maybe see. A few marks on that pressure plate there. So that's from those rivets there. Okay, so we're going to change this with an LUK clutch, very reputable make, OE make. So I only really put in LUKs or Valios. I stay away from Sachs, but any other sort of those weird makes you see for sale and cheaper branded, they're not actually worth doing. There's a 3-piece clutch. Always put a 3-piece clutch in. This came from my local supplier, who keeps stock of LU clutches. That's in there. So they buy these things in by the pallet load, and don't actually, a lot of times they actually have them in stock, which is unbelievable, but there you go. So there's your new clutch. Our pressure plate's a wee bit stinking, so we'll have to clean that up a wee bit. But it's okay, it's dead on. We'll give that a wee clean anyway, because a lot of times this would have a coating of slight filmy oil on it for storage, just like the way you get a brake disc. So sometimes there's a bit of greaseproof paper in between that and this one there isn't. But so the clutch cable broke in this car, and this spurred all this work on. But it was a very heavy clutch as well, as I said. So part of the reason for that, and this is why you really need to change all three components. If we can see up in there, that sleeve is absolutely manking. It's very black. I've already given this bell housing a blast with air, high pressure air on the airline, while wearing a dust mask. Loads of dust flew out all over the place. So the other thing I want to maybe show you is the difference in these thrust bearings. The original thrust bearing, that's the original thrust bearing there, is a Valio thrust bearing, and the inner sleeve is made of metal. Now you may think that's good, it usually probably would be, but as you can see inside it there's a ridge, a female ridge inside it, and that has gathered all the dust, all the friction material dust. So it's trapped that dust, and has made that a bit sticky coming in and out. It's free enough now, but when I took it off before, so it was a bit sticky. So the LUK one has a plastic sleeve on it, and you may think, oh well, metal's better than plastic or whatever, but it's one this is good. Well, I like to think it's good hardened plastic, so when that rides in that, it's a lot better of a fit. So we'll give that a clean up. We'll give that sleeve a clean up, and what you don't want is for that the catch. So that's where you get your hard pedals from, your stiff pedals. So yeah. The other thing we need to do before it's all about preparation, before we even dream of putting this gearbox in, is we need to have a wee look at the flywheel. We're down to rivets, so we can get a wee look at the flywheel there. And I don't know how it'll come up on the camera there, I can't really get in here very well, but there are a couple of burn marks there on that flywheel. Okay, so yeah, there. Right, and you can see where there's been a bit of heat going on there. So that's when the clutch is well down like that. This clutch was not slipping, or it wasn't reported to be slipping, but it was right out on the end of its travel for the biting point. So it was ready to start slipping. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a lot of sandpaper, and we're going to dress that flywheel up. So we're going to dress that flywheel up, give it a good clean with brake cleaner, give that bell housing a good clean with brake cleaner, but the main thing is that sleeve where the thrust bearing rides on. Give it a good clean with brake cleaner. So yeah, okay, we'll be back with a few wee other installation tips, and that's my transmission jack. So the other reason for having the thing supported from the top is that below it's completely clear. So there's nothing below me there. There's no other jacks. There's nothing in the road. So I can maneuver that about on the wheels there. I can pull it around with that handle. I can put it up and down in a very controlled manner, and use those two systems to marry the thing up. So I'm not struggling or wrestling with it like you see people doing in some of their videos. I'm not going to name anybody, but each their own. Everybody can do it whatever they want. But this is the way I find to do it. Doing it on my own, and it's time consuming, but you're not going to rack your back Okay. Okay, here we are. We have our pressure plate here all nicely cleaned up with a brake cleaner. So what we're going to do is we're going to align this clutch, but we're going to do it on the bench before we fit it to the car. So this is the way I like to do it. So we're going to use one of these universal clutch alignment tool thingies here. This is a Delphi one, or Borg and back, and I've had this for ages. It's I thought it would have broke. It's quite flimsy plastic, but it does the job okay. So there's a couple of different styles of these. There's one is like a conical thing there, and this is the one that I've been using anyway. I can't really vouch for those other styles, but this one works quite well. So I have a couple of different attachments with it, this one and this one. So quite simply, what we're looking for is it depends on the size of the hole there in the clutch plate. So we'll pop that out. We're not going to use that one. Pop that one in, shove that through the right way, and make this wheel alignment tool up. So yeah, so what we're going to do, all this is cleaned up. Now if you notice, I have clean, just straight out of the box, gloves on, because I don't want to get any muck. And there's muck everywhere on this bench here, so I don't want to get any muck on this friction material. So handling this, if you're going to handle it with no gloves, just stick your finger in the hole, but stick gloves on, because even the grease off your fingers and off your hands, even if you think your hands are clean. So we'll get that lined up. So what we're going to do here, what we want to do is we get it lined up with the outer edge here, and this it does a couple of purposes, a couple of functions. It lines it for us, so we can see that it's lined up by taking the outer side of the pressure plate as a reference, but it's going to hold it in position for us, so that can fling about there for us. So it's going to be one unit when we offer the whole assembly up onto the flywheel. So it's going to hold it for us. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to also check that check the thing is lined up before we attempt to offer the gearbox up. So this is quite a small assembly here, so we're sort of nearly right at the end of the travel of the threads here. So we're going to screw that bit there down nearly as far as we can go, and expand. So it works a wee bit like a roll plug. We're going to expand this end bit. So I'll maybe have to do that off camera a wee bit. So we're expanding the inner portion there. I'll maybe stick it in a wee bit, allow it to come in a wee bit more there, just like that. Yeah, that looks a bit better. So we'll withdraw the metal piece, the cone shaped piece, and that grips the middle bit for us. So what we want to do is we want to line it up with using the pressure plate as reference. So we want to get it even all around the outside there, and we just nudge it about a bit to do that, and then we'll give it a wee tighten to hold it for ourselves. And you don't need to go mad tightening it. It's just enough to hold it, stop it from sliding about. So yeah, give it a wee tighten up. So that looks pretty good there. That's fairly even all the way around. We can give it a wee movement, just millimeters of movement, by loosening this and lining it up. So that is now all one unit there. That's what that's doing. It's just clamping it by itself. So we'll offer that up as one unit onto the car, onto the flywheel. So just another wee couple of tips here. I have already made this wee bolt up, a couple of bits of tape around it. You can get, sometimes in the kits you get the like of this here, I got that one time, and I just changed the diameters with wrapping wee bits of tape around it. This bolt here that fits into the flywheel, that there is the same diameter as that. So I'll just do a wee. That's just a wee check. But generally speaking, if you do that, you put it on, it's grand. The other wee tip I'm going to show you here in this bit of the clip is when you offer the gearbox up on, it's what can help you a lot is you get is a gearbox bolt out of the that come out of the gearbox. These are the top two bolts that held the gearbox on. So a lot of Asian vehicles, guys, they have fine pitch. This is an M10 bolt, and if I get a wee thread pitch gauge here, we can see it's 1.25 thread. An ordinary metric bolt, an ordinary M10 bolt there is 1.5. So a lot of Asian cars, Japanese cars, this being a Hyundai, it's an Asian car, has fine pitch threads on a lot of their bolts that they use. So this is 1.25, and we can see that on our pitch gauge there. So what we've done is we've hooked through my box where I save all the bolts that I don't use, or if I'm changing something over, and I found a couple of bolts like this. These actually look like gearbox bolts, but these are a couple of ones that I actually bought and I have in the box for Japanese fine pitch threads. So what we've done is we've cut the head off that bolt. So that's that bolt there. So we've cut the head of that bolt, made a wee and cut a slot on it. So the idea of that slot is we get a flat screwdriver into there, and if I had a flat screwdriver about, I could demonstrate that. And it's sitting there beside me. So we can get we put that in as a stud into the engine side, and we can screw it in. So whenever we offer the gearbox up, that's going to line the gearbox up for us, and then we can get that stud back out again by putting the screwdriver in the slot and backing those out. So there's other ones that I've made for other gearboxes that I've installed, and there's a smaller one there, all with they're all bolts with slots cut in them, and that's what they're for. That's another realignment job I did for something. It's quite big, as you can see. It's obviously a bigger clutch. So that's our preparation. We have the thrust burn installed. We have the flywheel all dressed up, and a good scooter brake cleaner all over the place, and all the dust out. So we'll get this on, and we'll show you a couple of wee tips of fitting this pressure plate. Okay, that's our assembly nearly installed. It's not quite just finished yet. So that's our realignment tool still in, and it held it all in place for us. Well, there's 6 bolts that go around this pressure plate. So we got those in. I can show you these ones here. So as you do that, as you squeeze those down and they go onto the dowels there, that compresses the pressure plate onto the clutch plate. So this here will be nice and loose. So we can just unscrew that by there, and that just pops out. So it's dead easy. So what I like to do with these bolts, we got a blue thread locker on these bolts. There wasn't any on it originally, but I like to put a wee bit of blue thread locker. And the specs for these bolts are 19 newton meters plus or minus 3. So I'm gonna set them about 20 or 21 or thereabouts. Now, the bit that I wanted to show you here really is a wee trick that I learned from old school. I've been doing it for years. When you go to tighten these bolts, so if you offer or only ratchet up this bolt, you're rotating that clockwise, Okay, so you're going to pull that clockwise. So what's going to happen is that flywheel is going to want to go in that direction. It's want to go clockwise. Okay, which is the opposite of the way the engine normally turns. Okay, so it's clockwise on this side, and if you go over to the other side, on the timing belt side, it rotates clockwise. So that means this flywheel will go that way. Okay, which is anti-clockwise. So engines with timing chains, especially, you don't want them to turn anti-clockwise, because you can. What you're doing is you're going against the way the normal tensioner works, and you can actually jump a tooth then. So you don't want to rotate these anti-clockwise. So here's the trick. Here's what you do now. You can lock the flywheel. You could use a wee flywheel locker tool. You could bolt it into there and go against the ring gear. You could do that for sure. And I might end up doing that if I'm not happy with what's going on here. But what you do is, whenever you put your ratchet up, guys, let's see if we can get this going here. So whenever you put your ratchet up onto your bolt, you don't want the ratchet hanging down the gap. So if I pull that, I'm using that as a lever, and all that's going to do is turn that flywheel. Okay, so what way you want to do it is you want to do it with the ratchet that way. So you want the ratchet going across the middle of the pressure plate, you know, so you want it to be like that when you're tightening this. So if you have that as a lever across the middle of the pressure plate, it won't turn the flywheel just as much. Now it maybe still will turn it, but there's only 20 newton meters in these wee bolts. They're not that tight, these bolts, these pressure plate bolts. There's not a huge amount of torque on them. They're quite small, M6, M8. Sometimes I think these ones are M8. But yeah, so what you want to do is, when you put your ratchet on, you put your ratchet across the face of the flywheel. So you're not using that as a lever to turn the engine in the wrong direction. So now this engine spark plug is a wee 1.1 petrol, and the spark plugs are still in it. So there will be a wee bit of compression that'll counteract the turning off the crank, but it's only a wee 1.1, and you can turn this over. I could turn that flywheel with my hand near enough against the compression. But that's the trick. And if that doesn't do it for you, you know, you just put a bolt in there and lock the flywheel. I'm just going to demonstrate that other wee thing, the alignment pins that I made. Okay, there's that wee alignment pin. So that is going to go into there. Okay, so I'm going to screw that in 3 or 4 threads, not the whole way by any means. So that's going to be a wee stud to align our box up. I'm going to put one in there and one at the top, and when I offer my box up, then that'll line it up for us. Whenever I have this pressure plate torqued up on these bolts, I'll just put my my other realignment tool that I made, which is a bolt with tape on it. That's all it is, and I'm going to make sure that that clutch plate is indeed aligned and nothing's moved or whatever. But in my experience of doing clutches and with that alignment method that I showed you, I have never had to take them off again and readjust it. So it works pretty well. It works every time, in fact. So yeah, there is a couple of wee tricks for you, and that'll assist in getting the gearbox in, those wee studs. This wee car here now, I thought whenever I got this wee car, this had been a gift. This had been a doddle to do, but it's quite a sizable box there. It's quite a sizable box in a very small car. It's a 5-speed box with the diff there, as you can see, and there isn't much room, so that's why this engine is actually sitting at a bit of an angle. It's hanging down on the chains at the top to allow the gearbox to pass below the chassis leg. So, and that's why I don't have the actual gearbox completely out, but I can I can work away with it as it is. So it's not a big deal. If I was taking the flywheel off, if I was changing the flywheel, I would probably remove the box, and you need to lock it to tighten the bolts that hold the flywheel on. But because these are only torqued about 20 newton meters, I should get away with this. If the flywheel starts spinning, then I'll just put a wee locker on it. But okay, that's a few hints and tips about doing gearboxes. As ever, the video has run on to God knows what. So I'll sign off for this one, and I'll go ahead and get this box put in, and get the shafts in, and starter motor in, battery in. So it shouldn't be too bad putting back there again. And as ever, many thanks for watching. Many thanks for all the positive comments. All great. The engagement is great. All the regular commenters. You have no idea how joyful it is to read the views of the guys all around the world. It's absolutely amazing. So many thanks. All the best, all the very best, and bye bye.